Well, bowling fans are back again. Classic Lanes, Fox Valley to site. Kids are all done. We had them done with the Straight Shot Youth Classic. Now we're bringing the adults in, the Straight Shot Open. Same thing we saw there. We have one lane that's wood, one lane that's synthetic. Bowlers are on the same oil pattern on both lanes, Kegel's Middle Road, and a quality top four that has made the TV show today, Joey.
Oh, quality players, all with 800 series under their belts, some 300 games, and some power.
Well, yeah, you look at our opening match. You've got Steve Brinkman, who's going to be a Hall of Famer as soon as he gets old enough. I mean, he's getting close. He's 49 and holding, but a great power player with Steve. And then, of course, the first time we're seeing Brent Ritchie, and you got to be pretty impressed by Brent's game as well.
29 years of age and a little higher rev rate than Steve, but, again, both players that know how to get the job done.
Absolutely. Winner of that opening match takes on Todd Fensky out of Wausau. Todd's first time on TV, but I'll tell you what, thinking about it, he didn't look intimidated to practice at all under the lights, and I think whoever he has to face is going to get one heck of a match on their hands.
Well, and nor should he be intimidated. I mean, Todd can take this thing just as easily as any other. They're all high-quality players, Phil.
Absolutely. And then the top seed today, championship match waiting in the wings. Chad Kloss, we've seen him plenty of times here in our Time Warner Cable SportsChannel shows, and I'll tell you what, Chad struggled a little bit early today, just kept plugging away, fighting, found himself the top seed, and it's a tough thing sometimes waiting in the wings to see who you're going to have to bowl and what you're going to have to do when you get back out there.
It is, but Chad's Chad, and if we were in Vegas, he would be the odds-on favorite. He'd probably be a 1-to-1 money favorite. But again, one-game match, anything can happen.
Absolutely. We're going to get to a commercial break here real quick. Back for that opening match here from Classic Lanes Fox Valley for the 2014 Straight Shot Open in just a moment. Make sure you stay tuned.
Straight Shot. Pool tables, cues, balls and accessories, dartboards, darts and dart supplies, poker tables and poker chips, board games and table games. Stay at home fun for the entire family. Check out Straight Shot, your game room headquarters, 1215 Appleton Road, Menasha.
Classic Lanes Fox Valley, the site for the 2014 Straight Shot Open. A couple veteran competitors here leading things off. Steve Brinkman, we've seen plenty of times on our shows over the years, Joey.
Steve, a familiar face to pretty much all bowlers in the city area of Milwaukee, Wisconsin. Now living in Sussex.
So many years in the bowling industry. He used to be at the old Olympic Lanes for a while, and he was also at River City Lanes for a few years as well, and a little bit of a...
Starts off with a soft 10, right?
Yeah, we saw a lot of those with the Straight Shot Youth Classic that was just on Time Warner Cable SportsChannel, the show previous to this, and it seemed to be the bowlers undoing today. They get a little string of strikes going, and then they leave that weak corner pin.
Well, tell us what lane surface he's on right now, Phil.
Well, this is the wood lane of the pair, so we're using a unique pair of lanes 18 and 19 here at Fox Valley Lanes. Right now, the first 18 lanes are wood. The last 18 are synthetic in the house. So, making a unique pair of lanes today, with the wood lane being the left lane and the synthetic lane, lane 19, being our right lane for this pair. So you'll see the bowlers going back and forth between the ball returns, something a little unusual today.
Right, and I'm sure there's many bowlers that can't wait for these wood lanes to be replaced, and others that say, why can't we keep the wood?
Exactly. A lot of players that play the ball a little bit straighter, like playing in the track area. They really like taking advantage of the track that grooves into a wood lane after a while as compared to a synthetic. It takes a lot longer time for a synthetic to get any type of track. And little pull right there by Brent Ritchie. Started things off. I'm sure he's pretty happy. A little smirk on the back of the ball return there, but I'm sure he's happy just leaving a 5-pin on his first shot.
All right, well, he's got some hand at release, as you could see by the rev rate. Plus, he's using a ball that tends to react somewhat quickly and aggressively when it encounters friction.
Yep. Brent from the Madison area. Bowled a couple years in Milwaukee, bowled in the same league I bowled in at AMF Bolero, the 3-star Masters for a couple of seasons, and I remember one time him and his teammates had an 847 3-man game. Can't remember who Brent's teammates were at that time, but if I remember correctly, Brent had a 289 or 299 that game, so nice shooting by that entire team.
Well, I mean, he has had some good credentials here on his bio sheet. 300 games, obviously, 836 high series, Henry Hitter Championship to his credit, as well as Madison City and state titles.
Yep. And that one creeps up a little bit high, and When we see bowlers make a mistake on that wood lane, most of the time it's the ball going through the nose. A little higher friction surface with the wood here. They're bowling on the same pattern on each lane, Kegel's middle road, so it's not quite sport compliant, but the bowlers still have to make very good shots to execute and make those little switches between the wood lane and the synthetic lane.
Now, when we make mention to a higher friction surface, why don't you explain to our listeners exactly what that means?
Well, it just means that the ball on a wood lane surface, if it has the same amount of oil that a synthetic surface has, on the wood lane, that ball will tend to grab a little bit earlier towards the end of the lane pattern and start making its move to the pocket quicker. So it may not make as large of an overall move, but that little earlier move can really fool bowlers sometimes, where it starts rolling a couple of feet sooner. And you'll see a lot of the bowlers here today combating it with a different ball on each lane surface. We saw that with the Straight Shot Youth Classic. We're seeing a lot of bowlers do that today as well.
I watch Steve's footwork. Slow, and then quick, which many of today's top coaches profess is the way to get to the line in time.
Steve gets himself a nice little early lead there with that strike after Brent's open when he slid behind that 3-6-10 combination. And that's a pretty strike when you can split that 8-pin and 9-pin on the back of the pin deck.
Right, and Steve's ball choice today appears to be a Roto Grip Disturbed, which is a solid resin as opposed to the pearlized cover that Brent is using. And that solid cover on that right lane does help smooth out the pattern some.
Yeah.
Now let's watch his unique footwork, because Steve has always been known for kind of a unique approach. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. He get a little quicker toward the end. Great balance at the line and back-to-back soft 10 pins on the wood lane.
Yeah, you thought the messenger would help him out there coming back across, but it just rolls in front of that 10 pin, and unfortunately for Steve, can't get his first double in the match yet.
And he's staying with the same ball, but as we saw that ball enter the pocket, we saw the deflection. It almost hit the 10, and we know Steve is not shy with power. For him leaving a soft 10 or a weak 10, the ball must be reading too early.
Yeah, and probably starting this hook phase a couple of feet earlier on that lane 18 than it is on the synthetic lane with lane 19.
Right, but there are ways to kind of trick the ball to react later down lane, or obviously a ball change. Well, we'll see as the match progresses what Steve does.
So Brent here looking to get his first shot in the pocket so far. 0 for 2. Looks like he trusted that one out to the right.
He's got that bent elbow going, and he kind of took the scenic route to the pocket and just annihilated the rack.
Yeah, that ball really much farther out than his first attempt on that lane. You can see Brent using a different ball on each lane, one for the synthetic surface and one for the wood.
So some pretty scary pin action right there with the pins going airborne. But again, we know the wood lane is going to be the lane, the master, if you want to win this match. Different ball choice, similar line, carries the messenger.
Not that much different than Steve's shot to the pocket, just that head pin made it all the way across.
Well, see, that's where players that have higher speed, higher rev rates, they get that pin action right there. And Steve's wasn't far off from that.
No.
Yet he doesn't get the strike, yet Brent does.
Little hop by Brent there, slapping it out. A little celebration. Both these bowlers you'll see pretty subdued with the emotions on the approach. Nobody's going to be running them out 2 or 3 lanes on good shots, but they're definitely going to let you know when they've put one in the pocket.
Well, you got to remember, Steve's getting up in years. He's 49 until Tuesday, which has probably passed by the time that the airing is occurring.
Exactly, yeah. Now he'd be eligible for that PBA 50 tour, so if he ever wanted to take a shot at that, he's got the qualifications definitely to do it.
Well, he's got many 300 games and a high set of 868. That's like 1 shot or 2 shots away from a 900.
Yeah, one or 2 bad carries and pretty close together.
2 national titles, champ, state title. I mean, probably too many to list on the bio sheet.
Yeah. Oh, now he's 50. He would be eligible for the Wisconsin State Hall of Fame. And with the number of titles he has, if he's not a first or second year shoo-in, I'd be very surprised at that with his resume.
Let's see what adjustment he makes here. Possibly a little move on the lane to the right, get a little more angle, and still another soft 10.
You know, and that was a lot of players' bugaboos on these wood lanes today, was they were finding a way to get to the pocket. Just that little earlier roll, getting the ball to save energy all the way through the pins.
we could see just a little bit of deflection, and the 6-pin lays lazily in front of the 10 as opposed to knocking it over.
And Steve's got to be thinking to himself now, what do I got to do?
Well, I mean, he should have or could have the front 5. Instead, he's behind in the match, and he's made all great shots.
No problem covering that up. We're going to get into our first commercial break of the day here. From Classic Lanes Fox Valley, the 2014 Straight Shot Open continues in just a moment. Make sure you stay tuned.
Straight Shot, the ultimate collection of cool stuff for your home, bar, or rec room. From the finest in game tables, boards, and accessories, to furnishings and decor that reflect your personality or support your team. Check out Straight Shot, your game room headquarters, 1215 Appleton Road, Menasha.
Barbiere's Italian Inn, featured in onmilwaukee.com's In Search of the Perfect Pizza in January 2013. Near Miller Park on Bluemont Road and on Milwaukee Avenue in South Milwaukee. Half of our opening match here in the books from Classic Lanes, Fox Valley. I want to thank Gary Dershesky and Gary Mack, co-proprietors here at Classic Lanes, Fox Valley, for hosting both this event and our Straight Shot Youth Open a couple of weeks ago. Brent Ritchie looking to really take command of this match, working on a double, looking for 3 in a row here in the 5th frame.
And was that a Chad Kloss sighting I saw Steve speaking with?
Yep, Chad Kloss.
PBA player, Chad Kloss.
Our top seed today. Watching the lanes transition, and wow, a little bit tighter on that lane, no doubt, from his previous shot that struck. He had to be easily 3 boards to the left.
Right, and that was fortunate to leave a 4-pin, because that looked like big 4 or 4-6.
Yeah.
So he's happy to leave the 4-pin in lieu of a split.
So he'll stick with his strike ball. He's not one to go to plastic. He has the ball speed to just flatten things out and keep things going. And
well, he is 20 years younger than Steve. And 20 years that's a lot less wear and tear on the body compared to what Steve has gone through. Plus, Steve's had knee issues and surgeries.
Yep. And you see Scott Stoltz and Kim Kenny, Charlie Bolter all in the crowd. And I bet you're going to see all 3 of those bowlers at the Action Heating and Cooling Open at Motion Plus Lanes. Saturday, November 8th. I just talked to proprietor Kerry Catania there. Field's over half full already with a few weeks to go before the tournament. So if you want to make sure you get a spot, make sure you give Kerry a call at Motion Plus, 414-481-0200, and get your spot reserved and that money in, because that's always a great tournament. And of course, those finals always on Time Warner Cable SportsChannel. Thanks to our friends down there, and Brent's right back to striking again on lane 18.
High flush, and again, Steve still has to figure out the left lane, but he can't overlook the right lane. And speaking of Kerry Catania, I visited him last night and saw Mike Jamrose fire a 300 game. Chad Kloss shoots a 299. Other notable scores, Brian Polinsky's team shot a fine 12-25 game.
That's pretty darn good for 5-man.
Oh, they were crushing them, and the pattern changes quite a bit at Motion, as it does in most centers nowadays, due to the high friction balls absorbing oil and high rev rates of the players.
Steve's got the synthetic lane down. He keeps managing the strike on lane 19 here at Classic Lanes Fox Valley, but we need to find him a striker or 2 on lane 18 on that wood surface after 3 consecutive 10 pins.
Well, he has 2 solids with him and 2 pearlized covers, yet he stays with the Roto Grip Disturbed, which is a great ball. But he's got a Storm Victory Road Pearl or a Storm Optimus. You'd think one of those may make an appearance, and it may be right now.
There it is, exactly. He knows that Brent's in the pocket and striking on both lanes, and now he needs to do something to make his move.
Yeah, if there's a little white in that ball or a silver pearl, that would be the Optimus. Cousin to the Marvel Pearl, albeit a little bit stronger back-end motion.
Yeah, he definitely moved a little bit farther left on the approach, so he's going to take advantage of that friction down lane.
The ball is stronger down lane, and it definitely shredded the rack. His first double.
And that puts him back in the lead by 15 pins. But Brent Ritchie can come back with another 2 strikes of his own for a turkey and retake that lead. Watch that pin action at the back of the pin deck. Area 4 pin went out last. Brent almost sliding in that left gutter. And another messenger, this time on the synthetic lane.
So you got to look at those 2 messengers he carried. I mean, he deserves them. But that's still an extra 20 pins onto his score. And if he follows it with another strike, that's actually an extra 30 pins onto his score.
Yeah, and with that, if he can throw another strike here in the 8th frame, he'll be able to take that lead. And other than a little noise disturbed him, he'll step off the approach.
Right. And it's not like Steve can't throw messengers. I mean, that Optimist possibly has a better chance to carry that messenger on the wood lane than, say, the ball he was previously using.
Ball needs to sit up, and it did, but
It's a little soft, it looked. A little soft, a little careful of a shot. Good shot, but not a strike.
no. And see, he knows he made a little bit of an error on that shot. All you can do now is get your focus back together. Don't give any pins back to your opponent and make this spare. Usually takes a scenic route to his left side spare. Oh, a little footwork issue there.
Well, both players have stuck on the left side of the approach in the match. Steve twice going for a 10-pin on lane 18.
So, yeah, sometimes it might just be a little sweater or something. Let's take a slow-mo look at Steve Brinkman here in his approach. Took this during the practice session while the bowlers were warming up.
Starts it low. Solid follow-through, solid balance.
Yeah, I mean, if you're going to build yourself a game that lasts for years and years, looking at Steve's form, that's one way to do it. Keeps the mechanics pretty simple, but manages to still get a lot on the bowling ball.
I should mention Steve wants to say hi to daughter Stephanie, very good bowler in her own right,
Yes,
son
indeed.
Kyle, and his girlfriend Sarah, and her 2 kids, Brennan and Christine. Great shot off the hand,
Wow.
but that ball laid off and did not make a move.
I'm surprised. He's checking his hand on the way back.
Yeah, he may have just lost it at the bottom, and when your rev rate goes from, say, 380 to 280, there's your result.
Yeah, I thought it was exactly where he wanted to play on that shot, but apparently at release, the rotation either around the ball or up and through the ball wasn't what he was looking for. And as you said, you lose a couple of revolutions going down that lane, it's not going to make it back to the pocket, and definitely not an easy spare to make at this point in the match here with a washout. Needs to get a little farther right and only gets one, and
Yeah.
count on that double too is going to kind of smart a little bit.
That is going to hurt. So both bowlers with an open, but Brent with 2 doubles going into his next shot. Steve only 1.
So yeah, Brent 11-pin lead. Steve's maximum score right now still is 213, but Brent, if he just strikes out, he's at 2-0 pace. So basically, Steve has to strike here in the 9th frame to really start putting the screws to Brent a little bit while he's up in the 9th and 10th finishing first.
Right, and if we look back a little bit, Brent had 2 errant shots to start the match, crossover 5-pin and a 3-6-10. Steve's only errant shot, washout. Every other ball's been pretty much flush.
But it's a matter of finding a way to kick those corner pins out in this game, no matter what type of lane pattern you have. And right now, that's the difference. Brent kicking a couple of 10 pins out with messengers when Steve left him, and another wrap 10 on lane
and
18.
a good shot. Got that ball to face up flush in the pocket.
Well, I'm sure with the Wisconsin State Bowling Association singles and doubles events being held here in January, I don't think Steve's going to miss the wood lanes being gone. I think he's going to like the synthetic surface here, no doubt.
Yeah, in fact, Steve may start a bonfire with lane 18.
Yeah.
Let's see if he has any approach issues on this 10-pin. His 4th on this lane.
Yes, indeed.
Little stick. Still makes it. Sign of a good bowler.
Exactly. You know what's going to happen. You compensate for it in your approach. Well, Brent Ritchie can shut Steve Brinkman out with a couple of strikes here, and we get to see Brent here in slow motion. As you mentioned before, Joey, that bent elbow all the way through the swing really gets him below the equator of the ball at release and rev up on it nicely.
That does create power.
Tommy Jones, one of the really first ones I remember that had a bent elbow on tour that really modified the power game. But Don Carter, years and years ago,
without a doubt.
had the bent elbow for years, and Earl Anthony did a lot of stuff with a bent elbow as well, even though neither one were power players. And how about that for another messenger for Brent Ritchie?
And Steve is thinking to himself, oh, to be 29 again, because Steve used to throw pins all over the place.
And he still has. We've seen a few of those today, but not the ones that are getting the corner pins out, the 10 pin out like
That
they are.
didn't
for
look
Brent
like it
Ritchie.
had enough power to knock that 10, but
No, I think Brent stared it down. You can see it right there. He was watching that head pin come back across the whole time. And right now, a strike here by Brent Ritchie will move him into the semifinal match. against Todd Fensky out of Wausau in our top seed today in the championship match. Winner of the semifinal take on Chad Klaus, and there's a way to scramble up those pins. Now, right now for Brent, it's just stay behind the foul line, get good count.
Yeah, we've actually seen more light shots carry than high flush, but it's hard to play for light shots because if you miss by a little, you got a bucket or a 210.
Exactly, and we've seen that with a lot of bowlers. We saw that in the Straight Shot Youth Classic. We saw a couple of bowlers that went a little wide, and the ball never came back, and there were a couple of 210 combinations out there. Another great shot.
There's a high flush one. Ball finished nice and deep, right behind that 8-pin.
Yeah. Brent, he's going to have to wait while Todd Fensky gets his practice shots between the opening and semifinal match here, so I'm sure he's going to be a good observer because Todd getting 4 shots in each lane, it's probably going to change the lanes a little bit, and it'll probably change the wood lane a little bit more than the synthetic lane, Joey.
I would think. But he is in rarefied air, being deeper than most players.
So with that 9 count on the last ball, 223 for Brent. Steve Brinkman taking home 4th place money today. Not too bad up for a drive for Sussex, though. He kind of decided last minute, going to come up here, going to try this out, and got himself a nice little payday to go back home and spend on the girlfriend and kids, maybe. Yeah,
sure. And getting a little airtime for Steve as well.
Absolutely, and see Steve wearing the Classic Lanes Menominee Falls shirt there, another center that Gary Daraseski is one of the owners of, down on Apple Avenue in Menominee Falls, along with Classic Lanes Oak Creek, down on Howell Avenue near your shop, Bowlers Pro Shop, Joey. And
yeah, one of our favorite centers to visit. Great drinks and fun bowling.
And now Steve's going, well, I got this lane down. It would have been nice if I would have had the strike to win the match on this lane. Feeling good about it. Only that one errant washout where he kind of lost it off his hand.
Yeah, and
really cost him.
Yeah, I mean, it comes down to not a 10-pin loss, it's about a 20-pin loss, but that still takes a little wind out of the sails when you open, especially late.
Absolutely, and this is why you can see where Steve is, always a competitor no matter what. He knows the match is long gone, stuff like that, but he's trying different things on the lanes because you never know when you might run into something similar again when the match is on the line. So if he can strike here, he'll have a 203 game. But it just won't be enough to get past Brent Ritchie as he moves on to the semifinal match against Todd Fensky. And 7 doesn't want to go this time. 223, 202. Brent Ritchie, your winner over Steve Brinkman, advancing to the semifinal match. We'll be back from Classic Lanes Fox Valley with the semifinal of the 2014 Straight Shot Open in just a couple of minutes. Make sure you stay tuned.
Straight Shot. Pool tables, cues, balls, and accessories. Dartboards, darts, and dart supplies. Poker tables and poker chips. Board games and table games. Stay-at-home fun for the entire family. Check out Straight Shot, your game room headquarters, 1215 Appleton Road, Menasha.
Why do we have so many of our televised tournaments at Castle Lanes? Because we love being part of the wild side of bowling. If you're ready to get in touch with your wild side, go to castlelanes.com. Semi-final match for the 2014 Straight Shot Open, coming to you from Classic Lanes in Fox Valley. Brent Ritchie, our opening match winner, 223 to 202 over Steve Brinkman, and something tells me it's going to need another 220-plus effort to get by Todd Fensky here, Joey.
Well, unless ugly things happen, especially on the left lane. Starts on the left lane so he doesn't have to finish on it and run away crossover.
Wow, and
that's how he started the last match.
Exactly, kind of checking out his thumb a little bit there, maybe a piece of protective tape or something, just held on a little bit. Plus, he didn't get any practice on the lanes while Todd got his shadow balls, and sometimes those wood lanes change a little bit quicker than the synthetic lanes do.
Should have no trouble with the conversion, bumps in a few more boards, covers it with a strike ball.
Yeah, you can probably get to the pocket right there with that shot. So.
Well, sometimes that's a free practice shot right there. You want to hit the 3-pin a little left of center, see if you can actually move in that much.
I want to thank Straight Shot Billiard and Game Supply in Menasha for all their support of this Straight Shot Open and the Straight Shot Youth Classic. If you're in the Fox Cities or anywhere in the Fox Valley, you need to get some good gaming equipment for your rec room or at home, go see the folks over at Straight Shot Menasha and Boy, Todd Fenske rings up a 10-pin for his first shot on TV.
Yep, pretty good opening shot with a Rotogrip Sinister, strong hybrid, asymmetric core, kind of a wrap pen.
So, sure he'll just keep his composure here. First time on TV.
Well, you got to hit the easy lane, and the easy lane is the synthetic. Now, it's only one tap, and it may not have been his best release, and maybe that wasn't either, but you got to figure it out eventually, and you never want to give up the good lane.
Yeah, Todd was plugging away at his spares all day. Couldn't quite get past Chad Kloss to the top seed today, but second seed, not too bad come in. You see, once again, a lot of these bowlers use those interchangeable thumb inserts to go from ball to ball and keep that same feel. I know Chad Kloss uses those. We've seen Todd Fenske use them. We saw a couple of our youth players use them on the Straight Shot Youth Classic show, and I prefer them myself as well. Just that same feel, ball to ball, is just amazing. You need to make a ball change.
Now, Todd's ball change is from a Sinister, strong asymmetric, to a Wrecker, which is another hybrid cover, which means half pearl, half solid, but a much, much weaker core, and he's hitting the tough lane.
Yes, indeed. And he chose to finish on lane 18 in the 10th frame, so I think it was more just because of how he liked his ball reaction on the lane as compared to finishing the match ahead of Brent. So we'll see what Brent can do here to try to get back in the pocket. He needs to float it a little bit more, and he's been creeping high his last couple of shots on this lane, on lane 19.
Yeah, well, his bio sheet for his strategy is left, left, and move further left. And I think he's maybe behind that transition a little bit so far, but he'll catch up to it.
Yeah, and with that speed and rev rate, he's easily about 18.5, 19 miles an hour, and well in the 400s in rev rate. Matches up quite well. Keep the ball in play. No problem covering up that 4-pin.
So do you think a down and in player with low revs would fare well on this pattern, Phil?
Well, we saw with the U Challenge Series, we saw the two girls. We saw Brittany Burgess and we saw Samantha Giroux. Both bowled quite well, and they actually outscored the boys that day on this pattern. So some of the straighter players, we had Charlie Bolter. We had a young lady bowling today out there as well. Charlie finished in 6th place today, just missed the TV show, but very conventional down and in player for the ladies, and she's got numerous 300 games and 800 series to her credit, and she did okay. She just had hit one bad pair that kind of bit her and just missed the TV show. But she's sitting around in the pink back there watching the audience with her mom.
Yeah, Charlie, a great competitor, and bowled some tournaments against her and with her many years ago, team challenge type events, and that girl can strap it up.
Yes, she can. So a nice shot there by Brent. Gets his first strike of this match. Todd looking to bounce back off that missed 10-pin on this lane.
Yeah, made a good shot, though, on his opening shot. Just missed the 10. And I think he knows what he wants to do on this lane, and he's on a strike, so this is the time to catch that double.
That needs to hold, and boy, you could just see that ball start revving up right at the end of the oil pattern at about 40 feet, and there was no stopping it going left when that happened.
Yeah, and that may have fooled him. He may have just bumped a little bit right after leaving that 10-pin. And strong ball, strong release, a lot of friction. That ball reads it pretty quick.
Yep, and you can see not happy with himself right there.
It's funny how sometimes a one-board move you wouldn't think would cause much difference down lane, but it really can.
Absolutely. All of a sudden, next thing you know, you got a 2-board move down lane off your 1-board move in the front part of the lane, and instead of going right in the pocket, you're going high, and he was lucky right there to just leave a 3-6-10, but still finds himself down by 10 pins early in this match.
Nice spare conversion there, the pesky 3-6-10.
Want to thank Barbier's Italian Inn for all their support over the years, back for our 8th season on Time Warner Cable Sports Channel with us, and if you're at the location on either Blue Mound or
Milwaukee Avenue
in South Milwaukee, make sure you thank Mark Dempsey, the owner. Thank him for all his support and helping us keep bowling on TV. We're only local weekly bowling show remaining in the United States, and thanks to our friends at Time Warner Cable Sports Channel, we're going to keep going that way. And a great bounce back shot there by Todd.
Yeah, he does have a very good look on the wood lane, and not so much yet on synthetic.
No, he's got to be kind of thinking to himself right now, if I stay close and I get a chance to step up in the 10th, I know I can hit lane 18. I know I'm all over this wood lane, so just a matter of you can't stop your opponent from throwing strings of strikes. And we saw Brent get a couple of doubles and a 4-bagger last game. Much better. Wow.
He definitely moved in a little bit, create a little more length before it hooks, and just left a, let's say, a high rev power player type 10 pin.
Yeah, watch that ball. There's not a heck of a lot of deflection on that. Just enough, though, to get that 6 around the 10. He knows he threw it good, and you just see that, like, what do I got to do to get that 10 out?
Well, normally just throw it a little better if possible. And his angle of attack seemed to be right spot on. No trouble with the conversion.
Just flatten out that strike ball. He likes staying with that and just throwing it a little bit harder. Take as much of that lane out play as you can. And that Spare Time Bowling Radio Show, new season started. Myself, Steve Sparky Pfeiffer, and our friend from New Berlin Bowl at Spare Time Pro Shop, Dwight Albrecht, on the air every Sunday morning at 9 a.m. So make sure you listen to 105.7 FM The Fan in Milwaukee. Anywhere else in the world, you can pick it up at 105.7fmthefan.com on the live stream or podcast. And a great shot there by Brent Ritchie. We're going to get into our commercial break for this game. Join Joe Serra and I back from Classic Lanes, Fox Valley for the rest of this match in just a moment.
Straight Shot, the ultimate collection of cool stuff for your home, bar, or rec room. From the finest in game tables, boards, and accessories, to furnishings and decor that reflect your personality or support your team. Check out Straight Shot, your game room headquarters, 1215 Appleton Road, Menasha.
Providing premier equipment sales and services to Wisconsin bowlers since 1973. Check out our Wall of Fame and our current specials at bpsmilwaukee.com. Back at Classic Lanes Fox Valley, semifinal match for the 2014 Straight Shot Open. Brent Ritchie, early 10-pin lead, but both of our bowlers are working on strikes, and Todd Fensky stepping up in his half of the 5th frame. On the lane, he's had a little bit of a struggle with so far.
Well, he can get the match to even if he strikes here for his first double. And again, he had a solid 10 in frame 1 and a 3-6-10 in frame 2. Let's see if he makes the right adjustment. Move back inside, high flush, and switch balls. That was a pretty good shot right there.
Yeah, looks like he's going with the same ball on the wood lane now with the synthetic, and he's letting that little extra length, little weaker core in that ball get the ball down lane without extra effort, and no problem kicking the 10 out that time. That's been the bowler's nemesis all day long. Bowlers will find a way to get to the pocket one way or the other. It's just a matter of what they're doing to kick those 4s and 10s out.
Right, but that is today's game. That, you know, getting to the pocket, albeit challenging at times for most top-level players, not a big issue, but figuring out how to carry can be a big issue.
Yeah. And when you're losing 20 pins, if you're going strike, spare strike, and your opponent's getting a 3-bagger there, it can turn into a pretty frustrating day pretty quick. And the high hard one there for Todd Fensky.
Yeah, great shot for a turkey. It's kind of like in golf. You know, you can get it on the green reasonably easy since it's a big green, but getting that little hole, not so easy.
Oh, yeah, not like getting on and 2 on a par 4 and 3 or 4 putting for 5 or 6.
Been there, done that.
Oh, many a time. That's why we're back here on the microphones instead of out on the PGA Tour.
Is that why? I knew there had to be a good logical reason.
Brent Ritchie stepping up. Pretty good shot, and rings up a 2nd consecutive 10-pin on that lane.
Yeah, and that you could just see his heart sink on that because he executed probably the best he can in just a power 10. 6-pin right across the top neck of that pin.
Yeah, no deflection at all on that ball as it was getting through the pin deck. But he needs to spare here to stay close in this match. Can't give anything back to your opponent, no problem.
Yeah, still a little approach issue there. They're always looking down and a little bit of sticking. But if you know it's there and you can compensate for it, more power to you.
Well, once again, Action Heating Cooling Open at Motion Plus Lanes. And said earlier, Kerry Catania said the field's over half full. Want to make sure you get in on that great tournament. Give them a call at Motion Plus Lanes in Cudahy, 414-481-0200. Lots of the best players from Wisconsin, Northern Illinois in that tournament. Don't miss out if you haven't gotten in yet. little bit of a extra slide that time for Brent instead of a stick on 18, and
Yeah, that's kind of he got away with that shot look there, and he deserves that after leaving those couple wrap 10s between strikes, which is killer because that costs you 21 pins each time.
well, you've said before, Joey, bowlers only remember the bad breaks they have against them. They might not always remember those good breaks like that one right there for Brent.
Yeah, the bad breaks linger in the back of our minds, and the good breaks, the wall shots, the trip fours, you tend to forget about because you kind of expect them.
Yeah. You can see right there the kind of modern power player style of Todd Fenske, the conventional compact power player game nowadays you see with a lot of bowlers. You might not see the high backswings of a Pete Weber or Amuleto Monticelli, but
Todd is still reasonably young. He's 39 years of age, at an 857 series to his credit, 300 game. I don't know how many. I'm sure more than one.
oh yeah. And he crawls up high in that lane again, and the synthetic lane is the one giving him problems this match. We saw last match for Steve Brinkman, he was having problems with the wood lane. With Kerry, Todd just having problems getting to the pocket consistently on the synthetic lane.
Yeah, and I mean, only Todd knows exactly why he's having issues on that right lane. It's not from lack of power.
No. Needs to get them both with the ball, does so successfully. Best way to cover that spare. And he still keeps himself with an 8-pin lead. His maximum score right now would be 237. But Brent Ritchie can go off the sheet for 239. So Brent, if he can keep striking here and keep matching Todd shot for shot, he has a chance to win this match and advance to the championship.
Well, he's got the 8-pin lead, but he doesn't really appear visually here to look that confident. And it's probably because he's just not quite sure about that right lane. Is it him? Is it the lane? Is it the ball choice? And when there's doubt in the back of your mind, I mean, it's not good.
No.
It's not good.
No, and he knows he can get to the pocket, no problem in this lane. He does it once again. Boy, at every one of those shots on lane 18 has just been 10 back. Keeps himself in the lead, but Brent Ritchie can step up here in the 8th frame, get himself a double.
Well, Brent's had all good shots other than his opening shot 3-pin. He's hit a 4-pin and back-to-back cold 10s. We're going to see if he makes an adjustment to carry the cold 10 on this lane. Will he soften up just a touch? Looks like he did, and rips the rack.
Yeah, it looked like he also moved slightly farther left with his feet. He almost has his entire left foot sliding near that left gutter. And so
Right, that's not an easy move to make.
No.
Because too far left, you're looking at a washout. But moving right, as we saw, was penalty because 3-6-10s popped up.
once again, he's back to using a different ball on each lane, and he's got no problem taking 10 back on that shot.
Yeah, when in doubt, a little speed, a little bit of power, gets the job done.
And he goes from 8 pins down to 12 pins up with those 2 shots in the 8th and 9th, and now Todd knows he has to strike on this shot to have any chance. He's got to be thinking that way.
Right, and he's been high, couple shots, but he did strike once and left the 10-pin one. So again, I don't think he wants to come high, so he'll make the right adjustment.
Looks like he's a little bit of a creep left with his feet, just slightly.
Yeah, drops that right shoulder, good balance, good release, and just not enough on the back. I mean, it's better to come light than high sometimes, but late in the match, he's going to need a little run here.
Yeah, and two-way combination here on this lane pattern. Not the easiest thing. Real easy to get it a little left early and just hook past the 2-pin or hook past the 8-pin. Now with the spare here and striking out, he can still shoot 217, but that would just force Brent to mark in the 10th frame for the win. Brent working on 3 in a row.
All right, now, with such a good look on the left lane and not the right, in hindsight, I mean, Todd's probably still thinking, what should I have done? My suggestion would have been maybe a little bit less shine on a ball, say a smooth, dull finish, which gives you that little bit of added traction if you miss into the oil, and less snap when you miss out to the dry friction area. I mean, it's a thought.
Yeah, I mean, there's so many different ways you can go with. It's one thing with knowing your arsenal well and knowing what to do with little surface tweaks.
Well, that's it. If you have 4 balls with you and they're all high polished, you're kind of limiting your options. And just like if they're all dull, there are times you need some polish on a ball to create length and flip, just like we see there. And
wow.
Unfortunately, it came high, but...
Well, that's going to seal the deal right now, and even with the conversion here, Brent Ritchie just has to show up in the 10th.
One non-strike on the left lane.
But unfortunately for him, it's going to send Todd Fenske home with third-place money today. You can see right there, he knows, match over no matter what I do here. Give it the high fire here, see if he can bounce one out. Can't do it. It's going to give him 193. Brent just stays behind the foul line here. He's moving into that championship match against Chad Kloss. And well, you talk about a couple of high rev players that can play deep on the lane if need be.
Well, Chad can, but Chad's also a pretty good down and in player. He's got some versatility to his game. So we'll see if Chad takes the scenic route and moves in and wheels it, or if he goes more up the boards.
Yeah, Chad bringing his equipment down. He'll get some practice during the commercial break here before the championship match. And he's conferring right now. Scott Stoltz back there, his teammate, and what Scott's seen while Chad was staying loose on a practice pair a little farther down in the center. Another 10 back for Brent Ritchie, and he's got to be feeling confident going into the championship match with 223 and possibly 239 under his belt.
Yeah,
for 2 TV matches.
Scotty, a Storm staffer, as well as Chad, uses quite a bit of Storm products. And Scott may give him a suggestion to wear the white sunglasses as opposed to the blue sunglasses today.
See what Brent can do to finish. A little farther out to the right that time, but he comes back out, sits nicely. 239. Championship match on its way. Brent Ritchie advancing 239, 193 over Todd Fenske. Join Joe Soraya and I back from Classic Lanes Fox Valley for the championship match in just a moment.
Straight Shot. Pool tables, cues, balls, and accessories. Dartboards, darts, and dart supplies. Poker tables and poker chips. Board games and table games. Stay-at-home fun for the entire family. Check out Straight Shot, your game room headquarters, 1215 Appleton Road, Menasha.
Two matches in the books here already from Classic Lanes Fox Valley. On to the championship match. Top seed Chad Kloss taking on Brent Ritchie, who's climbed his way up the step ladder so far, and Chad decided to let Brent start on the wood lane here, lane 18, at Classic Lanes Fox Valley.
Yeah, and he's playing about as deep as you can get on the lane and starts with an opening strike. And Chad should know which lane should give his opponent trouble, but obviously Chad wants to finish on his favorite lane in the 10th.
Well, Brent did just strike out in the semifinal match against Todd Fenske on lane 19, so I think it's more just a choice for Chad where he wants to finish the 10th frame at, and he's going to be finishing before Brent on that wood lane, lane 18 here, on our unique once-in-a-lifetime pair here at Classic Lanes Fox Valley, because by the time this tournament's over, airing on Time Warner Cable SportsChannel, it's going to be 36 lanes of synthetic at Classic Lanes Fox Valley, and they're going to be ready for everybody for that Wisconsin State Bowling Association singles and doubles event from January through May this year in 2015, and a nice start there by Chad.
Yeah, Chad trying to take a disciplined approach to the pocket there. Just a few boards inside the oil line, send it to the friction.
Next thing you know, he's got 10 back. Good way to start NTB, and we've seen Chad in a lot of events at Motion Plus lanes. A lot of the action heating, cooling, singles, doubles, and team events down there.
Well, he's a seasoned bowler at 37 years of old. By going out on tour for a few years, you learn quickly. It's pretty much you're paying for an education, and as good as Chad was going out on tour, he's come back quite a bit better and more knowledgeable than he was before he went out.
Oh, and he shared that with a lot of his teammates. I mean, you don't exactly go to, the USBC National Tournament and shoot what was then a record-setting score without being good with the rest of your teammates there. And wow, how about that? A little bit high, leaves himself a 4-9.
Yeah, and Chad's ball choice is interesting in that he's using a Tour IQ solid on the left lane with a low pin to help blend out the pattern, in his words, and also help the ball kind of lay off a little bit. Yet that didn't lay off.
No. And that's just that increased friction that you'll get with wood surfaces as compared to synthetics. It'll start that ball rolling up early. Maybe not as much overall hook, but when it starts hooking 2 feet earlier than the ball on the right lane, that can give you some problems with going high. And we've seen that all day on lane 18. We haven't seen too many bowlers miss out to the right on that wood lane.
Well, pin down isn't always earlier. It's just it doesn't react as quick or as aggressive as it hits friction. But obviously, if there's a weight hole in it, it could hook earlier. And I think Brent's look is getting better, and Chad's going to have himself a battle here. And but we all know it's not how you start, it's how you finish. The Brewers proved that this year.
Yeah, no doubt about that. And tell you what, with Brent here, he's got a couple of games on this pair. He's comfortable. He knows the moves he has to make. And, you know, unfortunately, the disadvantage of being top seeded is you have to sit and wait and see how things go before you get a chance to practice on the lanes and figure out what you need to do to win that championship. And Brent just crawls a little high on that shot. Once again, we've seen him come a little bit high. He hasn't been leaving splits today. He's been just leaving that 4-pin and leaving himself easy conversions.
Right, and when you're deep enough in the pattern, you should stay away from most splits, even though Chad was unfortunate to leave the 4-9. That may just be a speed issue, and I'm sure Chad is taking note of that last shot that didn't react the way he wanted it to.
Once again, he'll just move the ball in a little to the left, hook it to spare, no problem covering it up, and keeps himself with an early 21-pin lead. Once again, you see Chad taking that interchangeable thumb insert out of the ball he's using on the left lane and putting it in the ball he's using on the right lane to keep that same feel from shot to shot.
Right, and Chad's ball choice on the right lane, a much stronger ball than what he's using on the wood lane. It's a Marvel S, strong, solid. Pin up, which will give him a little stronger, quicker motion when it leaves the oil pattern. And again, when you're on a hard lane surface, playing inside the oil line, a little bit of an aggressive nature can help the ball make the corner. And that was a great shot off the hand, just not a great result.
And once again, far from weak on that 10-pin. We've seen a lot of those ring 10s over the last 2 telecasts here from Classic Lanes Fox Valley.
Yeah, it wasn't like there was a lot of deflection on that, so whatever adjustment Chad makes, which may be none, I'm sure will not be a big adjustment.
Chad, another bowler, just like Brent, doesn't use a spare ball, just flattens it out. Moves across the lane, take a lot of the hand out of it, next to nothing on revs, and just tickles the 10-pin down.
His next to nothing rev rate is still probably higher than the average bowler's rev rate.
Well, yeah, it's definitely higher than mine when I'm out there during the league, no doubt about that.
And Chad today, at least, doesn't appear as though he's trying to max it out, whereas we know he can circle the lane and really torque it. He's trying to keep everything kind of controlled here.
And you can just see 6 steps with a little bit of like a backward step to start with to get his timing going.
A la Pete Weber and Norm Duke.
Yeah. And you can see in that slow-mo, there's a lot of conservation of motion. There's not a lot of body parts flailing around. It's the shoulder, nice rotation of the shoulders. Get that left hand in front while the right hand's going back with the ball in it, and then coming through nice and relaxed on the bottom. And there's one you don't see every day with the 3, 4, 6, and 10.
Well, that's back-to-back high shots on the left lane, and he kind of goosed it at release. He's definitely going to make some kind of move, and you can't leave that, Phil, unless your ball is reacting angularly down lane.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we've seen bowlers all day leave a couple 3, 6, 10s, but nothing even close to leaving anything on the left side of the pin deck. And for Chad right now, he's finding himself down in a hurry. 36 pins after 3.5 frames. And Brent's got to be thinking, well, I got my blood in the water here. It's time to go into shark mode. Get himself a couple of strikes and really take command of this match. And how that 4-pin didn't stand a chance, Joey.
Yeah, and he'll take those all day long because he's got good roll on the ball, a lot of mix. And his ball should do that.
Yeah, I mean, you watch that head pin just do all that damage on the 4 and 7, and right now he's got to be thinking here, I get this, and it's going to force my opponent to strike out. I just got to keep bowling my game.
Big shot here. add 10 more pins to his lead, and
Wow.
so that may not have been Chad on the last shot that he came high. That lane just may be giving it up right now, and both bowlers may have to make a big move.
Yeah, and breaking down sometimes wood lanes because they have seams between the boards that are nailed together that make the lane. Sometimes the oil dissipates a little bit quicker than synthetics, and you know, if Brent thought he made a great shot there and Chad thought they made a great shot, you could see a huge move coming up on their next attempts on the wood lane.
And that leave is pretty much exactly what Chad left, other than he has the 7-pin with it. And he throws it about as good as you can and doesn't get it.
Well, that's not the way we wanted to get in a commercial break here. We want a nice little highlight. But we're going to take our commercial break for the championship match here from Classic Lanes, Fox Valley. Join Josar and I back for the rest of this match in just a couple of moments.
Straight Shot, the ultimate collection of cool stuff for your home, bar, or rec room. From the finest in game tables, boards, and accessories, to furnishings and decor that reflect your personality or support your team. Check out Straight Shot, your game room headquarters, 1215 Appleton Road, Menasha.
With 24 state-of-the-art lanes, plenty of pool tables and dartboards, and great food and drink at Sporty's Bar and Grill, Sunset Bowl in Waukesha is your #1 place for fun. Half the championship match in the books here. Brent Ritchie with a big 24-pin lead. Unfortunately, both of our bowlers working on open frames here, and Chad Claus stepping up on the synthetic lane, his good lane so far here at Classic Lanes Fox Valley.
Well, Chad normally doesn't have a bad lane for long because he knows how to trick it with hand positioning and little changes in tempo to get the ball to do different things. Staying with the Marvel S solid, pin up. He knows good shots normally get good results, and that's about as good as you can throw a ball.
Yes, indeed.
Chad's pride and joy, not his bowling ball, but daughter McKenna and son Ian.
Ian's 5 now. Wow, we're getting old, Joey.
Yeah,
I just
well,
remember.
that's a fact, but McKenna, 12
Yeah.
years of age. Chad knows she'll be dating in a few short years.
Sure the shotgun's probably ready, or
That's
never
every
know.
father's nightmare when you know your daughter is going to be going out with some young boy.
Yeah, maybe someday in the near future we'll get McKenna bowling that Wisconsin Women's Open, the 7th annual this year at Classic Lanes Greenfield. Give Gina Darashevsky a call there at Classic Lanes Greenfield to get signed up for that on Sunday, November 23rd. Always a great event. Always great TV, and last year's champion Jen Grisham will definitely be back to defend.
And Chad wants to give a shout out to Carrie Catania of Motion Plus for being a great friend, sponsor, and proprietor.
Absolutely.
I like his lane strategy. None. And that's not as dumb as you may think it is, in that you got to make changes and moves on the fly a lot of times.
And I think Chad made a big move there, trusting that ball farther to the right. I watched that ball get out there, and I'm like thinking to myself, is that going to make it back all the way? And it might even go in a
It kind
ball
of
change.
looked like he chased it a little more with his hands, so he changed his follow through, and bottom line, double
Yes,
on the board. And Chad knows he's going to need more than one double to have a chance to beat Brent in this match.
Yeah, Brent unfortunately working off of an open in his 5th frame, but he's been striking well in this synthetic lane. And wow, a little bit of a footing issue there, and comes up a little high with the 610.
Yeah, and staying ahead of lane transition. We all see it in the league, and when you're a frame or two late, you leave beaks and splits and ugly stuff. And you know, the pros are really good at reading transition and staying ahead of the transition. It sounds hard to believe, but they'll have a turkey or a 4-bagger, and they'll make a move as not to leave a 4-9 or a 4-6 on a good shot.
Absolutely, and you know, you don't see it as much in league on league type shots because there's much more oil in the middle patterns than they are on the PBA Tour. But you know, when these pros see the oil moving away, and they know the next shot one of their lane mates is going to make is going to take that little bit of oil out of the mid lane, like you said, they'll make that half board or board move with their feet, and they'll just keep striking out there in a tough pattern.
Well, their conditions on tour can get wet dry due to high rev rates and high friction equipment. And he carries the Wally, and that kind of gets him back where he needs to be. He needs to be on a strike train here.
Yeah, he's up by 14 right now, but Chad working on a double. If you can throw 2 more in the 7th and 8th, Chad would end up taking the lead by 6 pins. And sometimes a commercial break, we think of it sometimes as the bowler's worst enemy. Sometimes you have to sit around and wait and that kind of thing. Well, maybe Chad had a chance to think about it here, and he's turning it into his good friend.
Well, you can use it to compose yourself or think strategy. But Chad's been down the road many times. He's just a good shot off the hand. Now that crept a little higher than I think he wanted it to, but he still caught the turkey.
Only has himself down by 4 pins right now. If you would have told him that in the 4th frame after he opened and Brent struck that he would be back in this match in 3 frames, he probably wouldn't have taken that bet.
Right. Now Chad will move next time on that lane because he knows if he doesn't move, that's going to end up in a split.
Yeah, and you can see right there his reaction on the slow-mo replay. He wasn't sure that was going to hold, so I bet you it's probably a 2 board left with his feet and at least 1 board with his target on the lane.
I would think that's going to be real close to his adjustment.
Let's see what he can do here. Looks like he's making a little creep to the left with his feet here as well, so he's already making up for...
Well, he may be moving on that lane due to Brent's shot coming a little high.
Gets it far enough out to the right, and boy, did that set up nicely for him.
And we see the ball finishing right behind the 5 pin or even 8 pin, so he's not seeing deflection upon pocket entry.
Yeah, well, ladies and gentlemen, if you know friends that turned this match off in the 4th frame after Chad looked like he was going to be out of it, get on those phones and start calling and texting, because we have ourselves one heck of a match going right now with Brent Ritchie looking to strike and take the lead again. Gorgeous out of his hand, and wow, unbelievable that 6 went around the 10 so fast. And you could see the pain in Brent's face.
Frustration is kind of setting in because he knows Chad has found it, and he made a great shot, no deflection. I mean, too much power can come back and bite you sometimes, evidently.
And those are the tough ones to take. I mean, you leave a weak corner pin. You know you didn't get through the shot as well as you'd like, that type of thing. But when you just absolutely lace everything and you get that wrap 10, that's a tough one to get your composure back on and just make the spare and move on, which Brent does right there. But
yeah, it's not always fair, Phil. We've said that numerous times. We hope it would be, but it's not.
A round ball versus round pins, and strange things can happen. No doubt about that.
60 feet away, and we're imparting revolutions on the ball, and there's oil on the lane, which we can't see.
Absolutely. All the little things that can make this game either super frustrating when it's bad or super exciting when things are going good for you.
But for most amateurs, it's a game, and it's a fun game to play, and another... Brent's going, okay, not my day.
What do I have to do all of a sudden?
Great shot, yeah, and that's all you can ask. Throw your best shot, hope the pins cooperate.
And now, if you can spare this here, his maximum score is going to be 206 if he can strike out. And Chad right now, if he gets a couple of marks, he's in the 2 teens. So a spare here is huge. But then it's got to sit on the bench and watch time for Brent Ritchie as Chad Klaus steps up, and if Chad can get a strike here, that just forces a mark in the 10th frame to win the championship, assuming good count. But boy, striking in the 9th frame here, pressure's on. Yeah, you're on a 4-bagger, but you know you need this one, no doubt about that.
Well, pressure's on in our eyes, but in Chad's eyes, he may not look at it as pressure. He looks at it as an opportunity to make a great shot. And again, he's bowled against the pros. So I'm not saying Brent's not a great player, but it's a different game for Chad. It's almost like he's out there practicing.
Oh, a little stick at the line, and how did that hold pocket? Wow.
So you stick, you come out of it kind of weird, your follow-through is shortened, yet the ball almost leaves a 7-9 in the pocket.
Yeah, and he's checking his soul right there, not sure what happened. Let's see on the replay here. Doesn't look anything, and didn't go over the line, got real close. He's stuck hard on that shot, but as you said, Joey, almost the pocket 7-9, somehow got to go down, and now it's just a matter of marking with good count in the 10th frame, and yeah. Chad Klaus will take home that first place prize today here.
Chad knows that could have been ugly, could have been anything, and it ends up being a strike. So how do you explain it, Phil?
2 wrongs don't make a right, but 3 wrongs make a strike, apparently, or something like that. You stick, you don't get any turn in it, and you pull it left.
Well, whatever. Whatever
It
it
all
is,
worked.
he's glad it's over with. Now he checked his soul. He doesn't want to stick again.
Well, that's the thing. That's got to be a little nerve-wracking, knowing that everybody's been having problems sticking on that lane. Doesn't do it, throws it nice, and of course, when you need to mark the win, you got to leave yourself a 10-pin.
Well, the pin God giveth and the pin God taketh. And we did see a lot of players sticking on that left side of the approach earlier in the matches, going for 10 pins, and the way these boys are playing the lanes, they're sliding almost in that same area.
So, yeah, right now, Chad can spare this and strike. He'd have 212 with the maximum score of 206 for Brent Ritchie. Spare and 7 would take the spare shot open title home for Chad Klaas. And there's the hard part, getting that 10-pin covered. Does it nicely. On this, you can't exactly... Yeah, his max score right here, 212. Brent 206, so Chad basically just needs to keep it on the lane. You can see Chad checking the score again, making sure, and I'm sure it's probably just going to be fire it down the middle and stay behind the foul line.
I don't know if that's always good strategy. Fire it down the middle and leave the big 5.
Yeah, well, he's doing it. He's just outside the head pin, but as the old TV show said, 8 is enough. 210, and Chad Klaas taking home that championship prize today. And look at the frustration on Brent Ritchie's face right there, Joey.
Yeah, and Chad's probably glad that game is over because they were starting to get a little spooky, and Brent's shot there, just a frustration shot, doesn't matter. He made great shots up to that point.
I'll tell you what, one heck of a day climbing the stepladder for Brent Ritchie. I mean, I know it's not the title he was looking to walk away with for today, but he put on a fine bowling exhibition for 29 frames today, no doubt about that.
Yes, he did.
So, gets 2 in the spare. It's going to be Chad Klaas taking home a 210-180 victory over Brent Ritchie. Joseph and I are going to be back to wrap this up after we talk to the bowlers in just a couple of minutes, so make sure you stay tuned for the interviews. Why do we have so many of our televised tournaments at Castle Lanes? Because we love being part of the wild side of bowling. If you're ready to get in touch with your wild side, go to castlelanes.com.
Straight Shot, the ultimate collection of cool stuff for your home, bar, or rec room. From the finest in game tables, boards, and accessories, to furnishings and decor that reflect your personality or support your team. Check out Straight Shot, your game room headquarters, 1215 Appleton Road in Nashua.
Well, a great final match here, bowling fans, from Classic Lanes, Fox Valley. Chad Klaas comes out on top on the 2014 Straight Shot Open, 210-180 over Brent Ritchie. We're going to bring Brent in right now. Brent, great bowling all day. I mean, you started 770 out of the gates on the wood lanes, got down to the synthetics, and they kind of bit you a little bit. What adjustments did you make on lane 19 to help you climb the step ladder?
I actually made a ball change over to something that's going to be a little bit more aggressive on the back end when I was noticing that there was a lot more push when we moved over to the synthetic lanes.
Well, hey, thanks for coming in to bowl today. I appreciate it. Your second place money, $230. So hopefully next year it's a little bit more. We want to thank the sponsorship, of course, of Straight Shot Pool and Billiards in Menasha for that. We'll see you next year.
Right, thank you.
All right, now we're going to bring in our champion, Chad Klaas, out of Milwaukee. Chad, we've seen plenty of times out here, even shaking your head a couple times at Motion Plus Lanes, your nice sponsor I saw on the back of your shirt today. And, boy, it was looking a little rough in about the fourth frame. Lane 18, that wood lane, just kind of biting you in the backside. And what change did you make to get that 5 in a row in there?
I moved about 5 right. Realized I started a little too far left. They wasn't hooking as much as they were earlier today on wood, so just bumped a little right and got fortunate.
And a great bowling today, $450, your first place prize. I'm sure we're going to see you, of course, at the Action Heating and Cooling Open on November 8th on Motion Plus Lanes.
Absolutely.
We'll see a lot of these bowlers that we had down there too for that. Once again, 2014 Straight Shot Open in the books. Joe Serrano and I will be back to wrap up this entire show in just a moment, so make sure you stay tuned. Eileen's Bowling Buddy, used by high school and college coaches and members of the PBA Tour to train, warm up, and rehab. Get all the information at eileensbowlingbuddy.com.
Straight Shot, the ultimate collection of cool stuff for your home, bar, or rec room. From the finest in game tables, boards, and accessories, to furnishings and decor that reflect your personality or support your team. Check out Straight Shot, your game room headquarters. 1215 Appleton Road, Menasha.
Providing premier equipment sales and services to Wisconsin bowlers since 1973. Check out our Wall of Fame and our current specials at bpsmilwaukee.com. Well, Joey, if somebody would have turned this match off after Chad Kloss got up in the fourth frame and opened and thought, oh, this match is done, boy, were they in for a surprise. I mean, you look at what Brent Ritchie did. Fifth frame, he gets up, big split. Should have had the conversion, bad break not getting it. And then, boy, those 8th and 9th frames for Brent, just brutal.
Right. It was like a heavyweight fight. You know, Chad knocked down in the early rounds, comes back, makes a comeback, and yet he never put him away. Brent was still there and still had a chance to win it.
Yeah, Brent had a chance, and those 8th and 9th frame 10 pins got him. Chad strung that late 5-bagger together, and he takes home the Straight Shot Open title for 2014. Thanks once again to Straight Shot Billiards and Game Supply in Menasha for the support of both this tournament and the Straight Shot Youth Classic. More bowling come up on Time Warner Cable Sports Channel. As always, for my friend Joe Serrano at Bowlers Pro Shop in Milwaukee. See him for all your bowling needs. I'm Phil Brilo. Parents, take the kids bowling. They'll have fun for life, and we'll see you one more time